Now, Marisa, I understand according to your bio, you are a self-proclaimed handmade market fanatic. And I think I want you to expand on that because I think that's a compliment.
Yes, yes. So when I was living in North Carolina a few years ago, that's when I really started to get into handmade markets. And I found myself really going to those markets like every chance that I got, almost every weekend, sometimes in the summer when there's lots of markets going on. And I just really enjoyed being in that space of creativity, seeing the things that people were making, connecting with the artists that were there. And that's sort of what planted the seed. Maybe I would like to be even more in this space.
Let's talk more about your product. Is it only earrings?
Yeah, right now I just make earrings. That's what I've been focused on kind of since I've began. I've dabbled in making like necklaces a little bit and exploring expanding my accessory range. But even when I was, a handmade market fanatic, jewelry was what I was always really drawn to. And I would always leave these markets with a pair of earrings. So earrings are really like my favorite accessory to wear. And so it's what I feel most drawn to making.
All right. I bet you brought 3 or 4 of your finest pieces. So let's begin with one.
So one of my favorite pieces is my high five earrings. They're a little hand-shaped earring. They're definitely a statement earring, super fun. You can see my earring card here too, which I'm really focused on having recyclable packaging and also sourcing things locally as much as possible. So I actually get my earring cards printed at a print shop here in town. And on the back of the earring card, it will also say the nonprofit that your purchase is supporting, along with a little bit more information. But what I love about these earrings is that these shapes are actually hand-drawn by me, and I custom made the cutters for those shapes. So I can actually show you the cutters that I use. So this is the hand cutter, so that I can cut it out, and then the top piece. Another piece that I really love right now, it's from my latest collection that came out, are these earrings, and they have sort of a 3D sculptural element to them. So I'd previously done like a petal collection, and this was a new interpretation of that, being able to like kind of press the petals on there and cut the shape so that it would add this like 3D element to the earrings. The last pair that I'm going to show you, these are pretty fun. They're actually worn like an ear climber. So the earring will sit on your ear kind of at a diagonal like that, and like it's climbing up. And so in order to create this, nice squiggly even shape, I actually use a extruder for that I hook up to a drill, and I'm able to extrude the clay in a nice tube.
All right, let's talk all things tools. What tools are needed to begin this process, Marisa?
I actually use a pasta machine. So I use that without obviously the pasta blade cutters, but just the rollers in it. And that's what I use to condition and roll out the clay so that everything's nice and smooth and even, and I use that to mix colors as well. You have to have clay cutters or just an X-Acto knife so that you can actually cut the clay. You have to have an oven. This is a bakeable clay medium. And then I sand them. I use a Dremel for my sanding process. But if you were just starting out, you could just use sandpaper. And then I have my posts for my earrings. I use titanium posts on all of my earrings. So those are hypoallergenic. I secure all of my posts using UV resin. I use one of those nail lamps if you've gotten like a gel manicure before.
Is your clay pre-colored?
Clay is colored to begin with. But all of my colors are hand mixed. So it involves, a little bit of color theory to be able to create the colors. But yeah, so the bars of clay do come in colors. And so I purchase the colored blocks of clay, and then I will, create color recipes out of them so that I can recreate the colors over and over again. But I try not to use colors that come like straight from the block of clay, just so that it's kind of that added element of it being unique, not something that, necessarily just anyone else could make. This is a specific recipe that I've come up with.
Why the title Common Good Clay for your business?
I actually work full-time in the nonprofit sector as a program manager. I work for a local nonprofit in Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo. And this is my full-time evening and weekend job. But common good means for the benefit of all people. So how I've structured my business model is that I donate a percentage of my proceeds to nonprofits that are advancing social justice. And so for the first half of the year, my customers are actually able to nominate a nonprofit that's important to them. And then I choose from those nominations for my January through June donations. And then the second half of the year, I choose a nonprofit in my local community.
All right, I'll give you a lot of money for those earrings right off your ear. Would you sell them?
I wouldn't sell these ones because I've been wearing them, but I could definitely sell them a fresh pair of them. I'm on Etsy is where my shop is located, and I also am launching a website very soon.
Keep on making those earrings.
Thank you so much.
Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.